We're going to talk now about taking your publications to a commercial printer. And there are a few scenarios where you might want to do that. One would be you don't have a printer. Well, that's not a very typical scenario. But you may not have an adequate printer for printing the quality you need for a specific publication. The most typical or most popular scenario might be you need thousands of copies of this newsletter or flyer printed, and it just doesn't make economical sense to send 1,000 copies to your own printer when you can take it to a commercial print house. So before you take it to a commercial printers, there's a few things to keep in mind. Now we're going to use this publication here, which is a newsletter 12A, and if it's not already open on your screen, just go to your open button up here. Navigate to the Lesson 12 folder of your exercise files and find Newsletter 12A and open it up so you'll be all caught up with us. So let's say we want to get 1,000 copies of this. We're not going to send 1,000 copies of a 4-page publication to our own printer. So we might want to take it to a commercial print house. Here's a couple things to keep in mind when you choose a commercial printer. You may want to go in there and just have a discussion with them. Find out if they actually accept publisher publication files. If they don't, you may need to convert to a PDF or a PostScript file for them to work with. If they do take publisher files, even better. The next thing you'll want to do is if they do take publisher files, make sure that your publication is saved to a Publisher 2003 or 2007 format. You don't want to go back before that. Any of the things we're going to look at here deal with Publisher 2003 and 2007. And then you're going to want to choose your color model, and you're going to want to do that right off the bat. So you know who you've got in mind, you know how they print, and now you're going to choose your color model. And to choose a color model, and make sure you've got this publication open, we're going to go up to the Tools menu up here and come down to Commercial Printing Tools. And right at the top you'll see Color Printing. Now although it's color printing, you may not even want to print this publication in color. You may want it in black and white. Well, you'll see that there's a number of radio buttons here, a number of options to choose from, and you'll want to discuss these with your commercial printer and decide which one is the best or most economical or both. Any color, RGB, is the best for desktop printers. So if you're printing to your own printer, hooked up to your own machine, no problem, or at the office. But if you're going to a commercial print house, you'll probably want to choose one of these down below. Single color, for example, brings up this little dialog box. All colors will be converted to tints of a single color. So when we click OK, we're going to be using, in this case, black. That's the default. Our spot color is black, so it's going to be a black and white printout. Now we do have a drop down. If we want to choose something else, we can change it to another color. But typically black is the spot color that we use, and then we get shades of black in our actual publication. Spot colors is a little bit different. Spot colors allows us to choose the actual colors that are going to be used. So black might be one of the spot colors. We can click the New Ink button to choose other spot colors. Now I'm going to hit cancel here and go to one of the more popular ones called CMYK. So process colors, again we get a warning dialog here that all spot color tints will be converted to process colors. We click OK. And you can see our CMYK. So our cyan, magenta, our yellow, and our black. These are the 4 colors used in the process colors. So typically most of the commercial print houses will use CMYK. And to get a nice looking printout, you're going to see these 4 colors used in combination to produce the colors you see in your publication. Now even more expensive is to use process colors plus any other spot colors you want to add. As soon as you start adding ink by using the New Ink button here, you're going to increase the cost of getting this printed, because at the print house at their end, they're going to need to do a little bit more work to get those extra colors in. So you want to choose your color mode before you even go in and get this printed. Discuss it with the commercial printer that you've chosen so they know that what you're going to be using is going to work with their equipment. And we've got the colors tab here as well, and you'll see that here we can get very technical with the different colors and the percentages of tints. I'm going to click cancel right here, and that covers the color mode, something you need to consider when you are taking your publication to a commercial print house. Another thing you're going to want to discuss with your printer is something called bleeds. So you want to allow for bleeds in those occasions where maybe you've got a graphic or an object that comes right to the edge of the paper. Now, most printers, as you know, especially printers that are hooked up to machines at home or at the office, will not print right to the edge of the paper, but a professional publication, if you look at them, they do. Well, what's really happening is a little bit of a trick called bleeding, where a page size that's larger than what you're going to print is selected, and then that way you can go right past the edges of a normal size page. So maybe an 8.5, 11 sheet of paper would be printed on a larger size piece of paper, where you could go right to the edge, as close to the edge of that larger size paper, which is beyond the edge of a smaller size sheet of paper like 8.5 by 11, and then you just trim off the edges. So you'll want to talk to your commercial printers about bleeds. Another thing that you'll want to think about is if you're using small font sizes, and not to use tints of colors with small font sizes. So if you've got a tiny font, let's say it's 6 points, and you're using a shade of green in there, well, odds are it's going to come up looking very faded and difficult to read. You'll want to use one of those actual colors we saw in the process colors, or the actual spot color like black, for example. That way you know your text is going to be solid. Another thing to consider is if you've got any images in here like digital photos or scanned images, and you want them sized appropriately. Again, this would be part of the discussion with your commercial printer, but we do have a graphics manager built into Publisher to help us with that. So I'm just going to go to page 2, 3 here, and I do have some images. For example, this picture up here and this one down here are digital pictures. I've got one over here on page 3 as well, actually a couple of them. So I will be using digital images. I want to make sure that they're sized correctly. I'm going to use the graphics manager for that from the Tools menu. So click on Tools, come down to Graphics Manager, and over here in the display options you can see on our task pane we're using the Graphics Manager. And you can see I do have a number of JPEG images that are embedded into my publication. Now, for any one of these images, we can come over here into the task pane. For example, I'm going to come down here to this one. So you can see that the name is kind of hard to understand exactly what it is, but I know that this is one of the embedded images. It's not my Cake logo. It's one of the actual photos or digital photos. So I'm going to go over here to the right and click the drop-down arrow. I can go to this picture, and you can see it's this one right here, the bicycle rider. And then also, if I click the down arrow, I can go to the details for this picture. And you can see under the left-hand column here, I've got property, the location it's embedded, the file name shows up there, the file size, what page it's on, the status, all kinds of stuff. And I can scroll down. There's more information here, including the color model, which in this case is unknown. The picture toolbar shows up as well if I wanted to make any changes. Now, maybe the most important piece of information in the details here is the effective resolution. You can see it's 129 dpi or dots per inch. I'm going to close that up. Because one of the things that you might want to do before you take your finished publication to a print house is to compress the pictures. And we do that by going up to our menu bar to find the Format Picture option. Now, there's a couple other ways to do it. If you want to save some time, just go to the picture itself and right click, and down here you can see we've got Format Picture. So Format Picture appears here on our picture toolbar. It's also on the menu bar, but right clicking and choosing Format Picture is maybe the quickest way. So here you can see we've got colors and lines, we've got size, we've got picture, and we've got web. Now we're not creating this document for the web. It's going to a commercial print house, so that one's not applicable. Under picture, you can see we've got cropping options and image control options. But right down here, we've got a compress button. And if we click the compress button, you can see here in the compress pictures dialog, we've got compression savings. So current combined image size is 139 Ks. Estimated combined image size after we compress it is down to 124. And here are the things that we can control. Deleting cropped areas, removing object linking and embedding data, OLE data. We can resample the picture, convert it to a JPEG where appropriate. And then down below, here's where we want to make sure that the target output is for commercial printing. So if it's not, you click that first. We can also do this to all pictures in the publication. I like that. And that's going to save us some size, and it's going to work out perfectly for our commercial printers. So we click Compress, Compressing pictures may reduce the quality of your images. Do you want to continue? We answer yes. It takes a moment and we're done. So we click OK. And the images in our publication now have been compressed and are ideal for taking this publication to a commercial printers. Now, another option when working with images is to not even embed them in the publication, but create links to those images. And what that does is it knocks down the size of your publication, and it keeps all the images separate in their own little folder organized so that when you put the whole publication together, they're used, they're linked to, but they don't take up space in the publication. That's part of the Pack and Go Wizard, which is another handy tool that will help you get your publication ready for commercial printers. That's what we're going to look at next.